Hey, boys and girls, this is the second part of chapter 5. We left off, it was Fudge's birthday party with his three friends, and they were trying to keep them busy. Okay, so here we go. The doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Rudder. She lives in the apartment right under us. She wanted to know what was going on. She said it sounded like her ceiling was about to crash in on her any second. My mother explained that Fudge was having a little birthday party, and wouldn't she like to stay for a piece of cake? Sometimes. My mother's really clever. So, Grandma entertained Mrs. Rudder in the kitchen while Fudge and his buddies jumped up and down on his new bed. It was delivered this morning. Fudge hasn't even slept uh, in, it, in it yet. So, naturally, when my mother found out what they were up to, she was mad. "Stop it right now," she said. "New boy, new bed, big boy," Fudge told her. Was he proud? "You won't have a new big boy bed for long if you don't stop jumping on it," my mother told him. "I know. Let's all sit down on the floor and hear a nice story." My mother selected a picture book from Fudge's bookshelf. "I heard that one," Jenny said when she saw the cover. "All right," my mother told her. Let's hear this one." She held up another book. "I heard that one too," Jenny said. I think my mother was starting to lose her patience, but she chose a third book and said, "Well, I'll enjoy this one, even if we know it by heart. And if we do know it by heart, well, we can say it together." That's just what Jenny did. And when my mother skipped a page by mistake, Jenny was right there to remind her. If you ask me, my mother felt like biting Jenny by that time. When the story was over, it was 2 o'clock, and Ralph was sound asleep on the floor. My mother told me to put him up on Fudge's new bed while she took the rest of the children back to the living room. I tried and tried, but I couldn't lift Ralph. He must weigh a ton. So I left him sleeping on Fudge's floor and closed the door so he wouldn't hear any noise. On my way back to the living room, I wished the others would fall asleep too. "Peter," my mother suggested, "why don't you show them Dribble?" "Mom, Dribble's my pet." "You don't go around using a pet to entertain a bunch of little kids. Didn't my mother know that?" "Please, Peter," my mother said. "We've still got half an hour left, and I don't know what to do with them anymore." "Dribble!" Fudge hollered. "Dribble, dribble, dribble." I guess Sam and Jenny liked the way that sounded because they started to shout, "Dribble, dribble, dribble," even though they didn't know what they were talking about. "Oh, all right," I said. "I'll show you Dribble. But you've got to promise to be very quiet. You mustn't make a sound. You might scare him, okay?" They all said, "Okay." My mother went to the kitchen to chat with Grandma and Mrs. Rudder. I went into my room and came back carrying Dribble in his bow. I put my finger over my lips to remind Fudge and his friends to be quiet. It worked. At first, nobody said a word. I put Dribble down on a table. Fudge and Sam and Jenny stood over his bowl. "Oh, turtle," Jenny said. "Yes, Dribble's a turtle. My turtle," I said in a soft voice. "See? See?" Fudge whispered. "They can all see," I told Fudge. "Nice turtle," Sam said. I wondered why he wasn't afraid this time. "What does Dribble do?" Jenny asked. "Do? He doesn't do anything special," I said. "He's a turtle. He does turtle things." "Like what?" Jenny asked. What was with this kid anyway? "Well," I said, "he swims around a little, and he sleeps on his rock, and he eats." "Does he make?" Jenny asked. "Make?" I said. "Make a tinkle." Oh, that. Well, sure, I guess so. Jenny laughed. So did Sam and Fudge. I make tinkles too. Want to see? Jenny asked. No, I said. See, see. Fudge laughed, pointing at Jenny. Jenny had a big smile on her face. Next thing I knew, there was a puddle on the rug. Mom! I hollered. Come quick! My mother dashed in from the kitchen. What, Peter? What is it? Just look at what Jenny did, I said. What is that? My mother asked, eyeing the puddle. She made on the floor, I said. And on purpose. Oh, Jenny, my mother cried. You didn't. I did too, Jenny said. That was very naughty, my mother told her. You come with me. She scooped up Jenny and carried her to the bathroom. After that, Mom mopped up the puddle. Finally, the doorbell rang. It was 2:30. The party was over. I could hardly believe it. I was beginning to think it would never end. First, Ralph's mother came. She had to wake him up to get him out of the apartment. I guess even she couldn't carry him. Next, Jenny's mother came. Mom gave her Jenny's wet pants in a baggie. That was all she had to do. Jenny's mother was plenty embarrassed. Sam's mother came last, but he didn't want to go home. Now that he was used to us, I guess he liked us. He cried, more party, more! Another time, his mother said, dragging him out of our apartment by the arm. My mother flopped down in a chair. Grandma brought her 2 aspirins and a glass of water. Oh, here, dear, she said. Maybe these will help. My mother swallowed the pills. She held her head. 3 is kind of young for a party, I told my mother. Peter Warren Hatcher, my mother began. Yes, I asked. You are absolutely right. I flopped down next to my mother. She put her arm around me. Then we both watched Fudge work his new Jack in the Box. Later, when my dad came home, he said, well, how did Fudge's party go? My mother and I looked at each other and we laughed. Okay, so this week's questions for chapter 5, part 2. The first question is how would you feel if you were Peter's mother and why? Number 2, describe something that happens in this chapter that makes Peter and Mrs. Hatcher realize that 3 is too young for a party. Number 3, why did Mrs. Ritter visit the Hatchers during Fudge's party? And number 4 is how did Peter and Dribble help his mother during this part of the chapter? Would you have done the same? Why or why not? Okay, so for tomorrow, or make sure you join the meeting. Some of you, if you signed on to Google Classroom, you might have seen something that looks like this. So a mission report. So we're going to go over that tomorrow during the Zoom meeting. So about 10-15 minutes. The last 10-15 minutes of the class we'll be going over this and how to complete it and where to get the information and how to fill in the blanks. Okay. So tomorrow we'll see you guys. Okay. Bye-bye.